Konnichiwa, minasan. Kyo desu. So recently we did a poll on our community tab asking what subjects you guys want me to talk about next. And majority of you guys actually want me to talk about anime and manga, which I'm excited about because this has been a huge part of my life since I was in elementary school. So please leave down below what kind of topics surrounding anime and manga do you guys want me to talk about. I'll be more than willing to make videos on your suggestions, so please leave them in the comment section below. But I figured I'd start off with my favorite top 10 anime of all time. Basically the anime that have affected me personally and the ones that I personally like. They're not in any particular order, however, the top 3 are kind of what I like better than the others, to a slight degree. Number 10, Trigun. I started watching this anime back in 2014 and it left a very interesting impression on me. It was a 90s style aesthetic anime with watercolor animation, which I love a lot. I actually like a watercolor a lot better than I do digital animation, but I love Vash the Stampede. I love his character. I love the concept of them being on like a Wild West kind of planet, and I just love his story. And it's also very close to me because this was actually one of the animes I was watching during my first trip to Japan, and it was something I watched to kind of kill some time before I can do other things or meet up with certain people when I was in Japan. So I love the story, I love the animation, and this is just one of those like close shows that just have a special place in my heart. Number 9, Outlaw Star. I'm not too sure many of you guys know about this one, but this was one of those animes that were first introduced in the 90s to Western audiences through an anime promotion blog called Toonami that was popular in the 90s and early 2000s for our American audiences. Outlaw Star, in a nutshell, is basically about Gene Highwind, the main character, who wants to travel to space and really pursue his goals as, exploring space, because he's always wanted to do that since he was little. And what I love about Outlaw Star is, again, it's a 90s anime, which I love again. I love the characters, they're very lovable. And even though the story may not necessarily be the best, it's something that I enjoyed and it just spoke to me personally in a way. So Outlaw Star is definitely an anime I recommend if you like a space odyssey or, kind of like a futuristic space kind of show. So yeah, Outlaw Star is number 9. Number 8, Ear Gear. Ear Gear is very, very dear to my heart. It's one of those animes I watched when I was starting to move on from just the mainstream stuff. In America, at least, a lot of my generation grew up with like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, and I call these gateway anime as far as anime that actually get you into the culture of animation. And I think I was in stage 2 where I was moving on from just the mainstream stuff and actually getting more involved in the culture. And Ear Gear was one of those shows that I discovered from my younger brother because he was watching it, and it's very dear to my heart. Ear Gear is basically about air tracks, which are these mechanical rollers, blades that basically move automatically. They're like mechanical skates, and it's about the main character Iki Minami, who wants to basically rise in the rankings of AT riders, which is like you kind of make a team and you do all different kinds of challenges and stuff to become one of the best storm riders, or what they call them, which is like a person who rides ATs is a storm rider, and he wants to basically be one of the best storm rider groups ever. And what I love about this anime is that it's extremely funny. The characters are enduring. It's very sexual, I will say. Oh great, he's, as a manga artist, I think he is a fantastic artist. However, a lot of his works are very adult, so I do not recommend it for young kids. However, what I also love about this anime is the soundtrack. I have the whole soundtrack on my phone. It really introduced me to like techno and house music, and I really do love the producer Skak Funk, who I do love a lot. They also did some work on Jet Set Radio, the video game, also it's the Sonic Rush series. So Ear Gear, I love it a lot. You should definitely check it out. It's a very interesting concept, something that you don't find too much in modern anime, but Ear Gear I definitely recommend if you want a different story or just very funny characters and a very interesting concept in the world. Number 7, Wolf's Rain. This is an anime I was watching back in 2016, and this anime I remember I was watching during the first period of my trials from 2016 to 2019. And what I love about this series is that it's basically a series about 4 wolves that are looking for paradise. And what I love about Wolf's Rain is that it's very grim, very dark, very heavy. I want to say dark as in like bloody or anything like that, but it's very heavy. It's not an anime for everybody because its ending is very metaphorical and more of like you come to the interpretation of what you think, what the ending is. It's more of like left to the watcher to determine what they think instead of having like a concrete conclusion. But what I love about it is that its soundtrack is from Yoko Kanno, who's one of my favorite music producers of all time. She's a fantastic composer. Also love its opening, Stray by Steve Conte. He sings it, and it's a fantastic opening, fantastic animation, fantastic voice acting. It's more of a 2000s anime, but it was made by Studio Bones, which is one of my favorite anime studios. So definitely check out Wolf's Rain. It's a little different. I don't recommend it for everybody, but if you like a more metaphorical type of anime, you'll definitely like Wolf's Rain. Roku Fooly Cooly. I don't know how popular this anime is in Japan, but Fooly Cooly was a 6-episode OVA series that was made by Studio Gainax, and I love Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly is a coming-of-age story. Naoto Nandaba is a 12-year-old kid whose life changes when he meets the alien Haruko. And what I love about this anime, it's how it's directed. It's so fast-paced and crazy and funny, and it has so much energy to it. And what I like about Fooly Cooly is that it has a very deep meaning behind it, but you can easily get distracted, or it could go over your head because of how the show is produced or how the show is directed. It's very funny, very fast-paced. It's only 6 episodes, but it has a fantastic anime production. I love the direction the show went. I love its ending as well. But more importantly, I also love the soundtrack. The soundtrack was done by a Japanese band, The Pillows, and it's a fantastic, fantastic soundtrack, and The Pillows are an awesome Japanese band. But if you guys are interested in Fooly Cooly, I definitely recommend it. It's something different. It was like a breath of fresh air for me. So definitely, if you guys want something different, that's not the casual, typical anime, I definitely recommend Fooly Cooly. Number 5, Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon is basically the story of Rock, a Japanese salesman who basically gets involved with piracy. And he ends up working for the Lagoon Company, which is basically a delivery service for people who work in the underground criminal black market, like, mafia guys, ex-military, stuff like that, drug dealers, all kind of stuff. And what I love about Black Lagoon is that it's very mature. It's not your stereotypical, the power of friendship, my friends are my power, or, it's not very conventional. It's very Western in its feel, and the characters are very, very grown and very mature. And it does tackle a lot of themes that really kind of get your head thinking a lot about. And not only that, it also deals with mafia and gangsters, and I love like gangster anime or films or whatever. I love mafia culture. And it's bloody, it's gory, it's adult, very, very adult, but definitely if you're looking for something that's very different, I recommend Black Lagoon. Number 4, Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist is about the story of Edward and Alphonse, 2 brothers who, after their mother passing away, they perform some illegal or forbidden alchemy, which is basically like the magic system that's kind of combined with science in a way, and they try to revive their mother. And in that process, Edward and Alphonse lose some of their body parts, and they go on a quest to find a Philosopher's Stone that can basically fix their bodies, because Alphonse loses his whole body and Ed loses his arm and his leg. So they go on a quest to try to find this Philosopher's Stone that defies the laws of alchemy, because alchemy believes in the concept of equivalent exchange, which basically means you have to get something, you have to give something of equal value. But with the Philosopher's Stone, it doesn't have to abide by that rule, and basically doing anything you want in the world of alchemy. What I love about Full Metal Alchemist is it's very engaging story. It's fantastic. It's not your typical shonen battle manga. The characters are rich. They're 3-dimensional. The story goes places that you never thought it would go. Full Metal Alchemist is a fantastic, fantastic watch. If you're interested, I definitely recommend you to check it out. Number 3, Hunter x Hunter. There's a lot I can say about Hunter x Hunter. It's fantastic world. It's fantastic world building. It's fantastic characters, especially its battle system. Nen is such a unique battle system that can pretty much only be made by Togashi Yoshihiro himself. What I love about Hunter x Hunter is that it's not your stereotypical shonen battle manga, even though it's in Shonen Jump. It does a lot of things differently, and it's not very conventional. It does a lot of twists and turns that you weren't expecting, and the characters are very 3-dimensional. They're not flat at all. And Togashi's writing is just phenomenal. Like, he keeps you on the edge of your seat. And you never know what to expect with Hunter x Hunter, and it's no wonder it's one of the best-selling manga of all time. But definitely Hunter x Hunter is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, anime of all time. Number 2, Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho, the actual first battle manga series from Takashi Yoshihiro. He's actually the only manga artist that I know that I love. 2 of his works are basically my favorite. But what I love Yu Yu Hakusho for, as far as its anime, it's soundtrack. Fantastic soundtrack. Its animation is gold. Again, it has a 90s aesthetic that I love so much. And I love the character of Yusuke. Again, characters are very 3-dimensional. They have personalities. They have flaws. They're not perfect. And again, Togashi as a writer is fantastic. He knows really how to make you care about characters. And Yu Yu Hakusho really is just an all-time classic. And if you don't know about it, or if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. It's fantastic. On a side note, I just realized that when I made my list, it's actually 11 anime that I had put on this list. And one anime I forgot to mention that I love a lot is Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo, I'm not too sure how popular it is, but I guess this is number 2, or if not, I'll put an honorable mention, whatever. But Samurai Champloo is basically about 3 characters, Fu, Jin, and Mugen. And Jin and Mugen are basically kind of like Ronin, samurai, and basically Fu asks them to help them find a samurai that smells of flowers. And what I love about Samurai Champloo is that it's in a different version of the Edo period, but not only that, it has a lot of hip-hop themes in it, and especially its soundtrack. It was made by the late Nujabes, who's one of my favorite Japanese producers, DJs of all time, and actually just my favorite producer of all time. One of my favorite, not even Japanese, just overall producer. And what I love about Samurai Champloo, it has a lot of action, characters are well realized, and the soundtrack, again, fantastic. Samurais and hip-hop, it can't get better than that. But Samurai Champloo is definitely one of my favorites, and you should check it out for yourself. Number 1, Cowboy Bebop. I failed to mention, but Samurai Champloo was also directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who also created Cowboy Bebop. And for me, Cowboy Bebop will always be dear to my heart. I watched it at a time that a lot of changes in my life are happening, and what I love about Cowboy Bebop is that it's very mature as far as its thinking and what it's trying to say. It's not something that a lot of young people may understand on the first watch. I mean, I definitely did not, but it deals with a lot of heavy themes of loneliness, forgiveness, things that a lot of adults deal with. But not only that, its soundtrack is fantastic. Again, soundtrack produced by Yoko Kanno, who again is one of the best Japanese composers of all time in my personal opinion. What I also love about it's well directed. Animation is fantastic, even though it's from the 90s. And again, I love that 90s aesthetic. Spike Spiegel, Jet, Faye, Ed, and Ein are one of the best well-written characters in any anime in my personal opinion. And it's not for everybody. It's very episodic in nature, so it doesn't really have a consistent storyline. However, it has a great animation. It explores a lot of themes about being a human. And again, it's one of those classics that's very revered in the West, actually. And if you haven't watched it, you're missing out. You need to watch Cowboy Bebop. It's one of my favorite anime of all time, and I love it a lot. So that's my top 11 list. I do like a lot more other series, but those are basically the series that are dear to my heart. I hope this video wasn't too all over the place, but I do want to talk about a lot more about anime and manga, so please leave your suggestions below for things for me to talk about. But yeah, I hope you guys like this list, and if you guys like the video, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Arigatou gozaimasu. Minasan, じゃあね。